Okay, welcome everybody to our first live session for DES 105, Page Layout Tools. I am your instructor, Shannon McNamara, and I was just saying to those of you who are here that my camera for my Mac stopped working, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm going to try to turn on the camera on my iPad just so I can say hello. It's not the best camera. I have a really old iPad. So let's see how this goes. All right, so I'm hoping that you can see me, but I just wanted to welcome everybody to our live session and just tell you I'm really excited to teach this course, this mod. I really like InDesign. That is our focus for this one. It's probably one of my favorite Adobe programs. I've been working in InDesign since it was in its beta phase, and that's probably back in 2003 possibly. So I've been working in InDesign since pretty much its inception, and I used to work in a program called Quark Express before that. So, you know, I feel as though I know a lot about the program. Do I know everything about the program? No, because, you know, you would have to be probably be somebody who programs Adobe, because every time that they do updates, you know, they change little tiny things. They kind of move a couple of things around, so it can get to be a little bit confusing for those of us who have been in Adobe for forever. But I really do enjoy working in the program, so I hope that comes through this mod. And I'll turn my camera off, which is probably going to be a whole thing. There we go. And we'll get started. All right. So again, I am Shannon McNamara, and my telephone hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. However, I do work for another school as well. And I also take courses here at Independence as well. So probably the best way to reach me and to get me immediately would probably be through email. I seem like I always have my email open on some sort of a device. I just want you to note that I am located in Eastern Standard Time, so just be aware of the time zone change when you are trying to reach me. All right, let's go and look at our agenda for this evening. We'll go over some welcome and introductions. We'll look at the announcements, the syllabus, the grading, take a look at the course in Canvas. We will go over our discussion question for week one. I always try to go over the discussion prompt with you. Just kind of read it over, give you a little idea about what it will be about. Then we'll do a quick intro into InDesign, and we'll also discuss our assignment and our assessment. So we have a pretty ambitious schedule for this evening, needless to say. So in the, this is kind of a good segue to get back into the course. So in the course, if you click on week one, just the word week one, you can navigate over to the week one introductions. And I wish that these were this was part of the main buttons that are on the homepage, this introduce yourself discussion, because I think that this is great for you guys to be able to talk to other people in your program, you know, make some friendships. I'm sure over the course of this program, you'll see the same names popping up in, you know, in the same courses, in the same mods. And it's nice to really have that repertoire with each other and be able to speak with each other even outside of class. I've had groups in the past that have, you know, became Facebook friends, and they've done critiques with each other, even if they're not in the same course during the same mod. And I had one group of students, I believe it was 4 or 5 of them, that stayed friends throughout the entire bachelor's program. And when they all graduated, they were from all over the country. They found a central place that they were going to actually have an in-person meetup after they graduated. And I thought that was so awesome. And it really started from them introducing themselves and just noticing that they kept seeing each other's names in their courses. So DES 105 is one of the first courses that you will take. So really try to start to build up some friendships. It's really, I went to school online as well. I finished up my bachelor's degree online, and sometimes you can feel a little bit separated from school when you're doing it at home because you're not physically going into the classroom every single week and physically sitting down at a desk and seeing the same students working in groups. So it's nice to get to know each other, even at a distance. So if you're wondering what it is that you can put in the introduction, I have a little slide here, and I always share my slides with you after the live session. So that way, if you need to go back or reference anything, it's all available to you in the slides. You can put your name, your location, what your major is, what experience you have so far with the different graphic arts applications. If you want to discuss some of your career goals, that's kind of a really good set of discussion points that you can go over in that introduction. All right, so let's take a look at our course objectives. Upon successfully completing this course, you should be able to discuss the ways InDesign is implemented by graphic design professionals. That will be some, great topics that you can bring up at your next dinner party. You can discuss the ways that InDesign is implemented by graphic design professionals. Just drop some tidbits here and there. You'll learn how to utilize the panels, the tools, and the frames to create documents in InDesign. You'll learn how to appropriately apply paragraph and character style sheets. And I really want to highlight this one because number 3 is going to be one of those things that might seem a little, hard, or not hard, but just a little counterintuitive at first. Like, why am I doing this? But it's one of those things that InDesign does for you that really makes your life so much easier in the long run. And we don't get into that until week 2, but, kind of put that in the back of your head, those character and paragraph style sheets. We'll implement the correct way to use master pages. Again, another tool that will make your life easier as a graphic designer. And we'll also discuss properly packaging an InDesign document for digital output and print production. Extremely important as a graphic designer. We will go over that step right in week 1. And then applying the basic principles and elements of design within an InDesign document. All right, so let's talk about due dates in the course. All assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight for full credit. If you are going to be late, I want you to think of me not only as your instructor, but think of me as your client. And the work that you are doing each week is work that I'm paying for. If you would not submit work late to a client without letting them know first that it was going to be late and making arrangements, then please don't submit late work in this course without also communicating. Communication regarding late work is really key in this course because it will save you some missed points. If the work is late and you haven't communicated with me, it's automatically 20% off. So you're starting at a B-. You're starting at an 80. But if you've gotten in touch with me and you let me know what's going on ahead of time, I'm open to working with you. So again, just make sure you're emailing me and letting me know. And Saturday at 11:30 p.m. is not letting me know ahead of time. Also, I will say this every single week. Week 4 assignments cannot be turned in late. The course will turn into a pumpkin. It will lock you out. if for some reason in week 4 you are uploading your work and something happens, the course closes out, immediately email that assignment to me in week 4. It needs to be in my email box by the morning, and some of you may have noticed I get up pretty early if you notice that I was responding to emails and sending out emails early to grade. So you want to make sure that you get that work over to me. Also, your original discussion post is due by Wednesday at midnight, and you need to respond to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday at midnight and post on 2 different days. Also, this one is also important. Late discussion posts will not be accepted past the Saturday deadline for the week because we've all moved on to the next topic. So if it is Sunday and you never did your post if it's Sunday of week 2 and you never did your post for week 1, even if you submit, it's not going to be graded. That is the one thing that I do not allow late submissions. All right, so your first post in the discussion needs to be a substantive post. I can never say that word correctly. Substantive posts contain at least 150 words and at least 1 APA formatted citation. In the announcements, which I will go over, I give you a link to make an APA cited citation. Resources are in the classroom. There's course information, general guidelines, and writing style requirements. Again, all assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight. If something occurs to prevent this from happening, contact me via email, phone, you can text me before the project is due, and we can make arrangements. After the deadline is just that. After the deadline, your work will be penalized for being late. And then how to succeed in this course. Number 1, read the announcements. I know it seems like there are a lot, but the announcements contain pertinent information pertaining to this class, including links, helpful links, reminders, scheduling. This is how I communicate with you. You may think, oh, but I already saw that there were 3 announcements today. And the reason why is I try to send them all in the morning. I try not to put them all into one announcement, so that way if you're going through and you think to yourself, wait, I know that the Learning Coach flyer was there, but I don't remember which one it was in. If it was, if they were all put together into one announcement, it would be kind of difficult to find what it was that you were searching for. So, make sure that you're reading those. I've given you some helpful links to help you with InDesign, a couple of videos to help with InDesign, things like that. Make sure that you are participating in the discussions each week. Make sure you're completing those assignments on time and doing your daily checkpoints. The daily checkpoints do count towards your overall average. I have seen students who don't do the daily checkpoints end up losing an entire letter grade just because they missed those daily checkpoints. Try to attend the live sessions if you can. If you cannot attend them, make sure that you are watching the video when it's posted, because I'm going to do a demo on how to do your assignments in each of the live sessions. Also, if you need some extra help, come to the multi-sessions. And remember, communicating with me is key. So our course schedule is as follows. The live sessions are Mondays from 4 to 6 p.m. And please check the live session tab in your course to see when the multi-session is. I'm actually teaching multiple sessions of this, or multiple sections of this course, this mod. So I have 2 different times listed. So you'll need to check and see which time is for your class. It's in the same exact link as the live sessions. And for those of you who were in my second session, it accidentally said the live session was Tuesday morning at, I believe, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. It should have been Wednesday, and I just fixed that, so I do apologize for that. And the reason why I host the live sessions and the multi-sessions early on in the week is this will give you some ample time to get your assignments done and to kind of just move on with the rest of your coursework and move on with the rest of your week. If you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available, and there is no appointment necessary. All right, so as far as assignments and assessments, I not only accept, but I really do encourage resubmissions of your work. I allow one resubmission of each assignment and non-auto-graded assessment. So if it's a quiz and it's auto-graded, that you cannot resubmit. But I do allow resubmissions of any of your design work one time. So use the critique that I give you to make your work better and better, and you are allowed to resubmit it once. Here are the best ways to get a hold of me. Again, my phone, or you can text me, is 623-455-0976. Even though it's an Arizona number, I am located in Massachusetts. And then my email, or you can always message me right through Canvas. So any questions before we hop over into the course? Kind of no. All right, great. So let's take a look at our course. One thing I want to point out is there are many videos for this course. So under the readings and videos tab, you will see the different videos for each week. There is the extra lecture for lecture 1, and then there's what is InDesign video, the basic tools overview, creating a new document, adding text and art in frames, applying color, selecting an object, packaging those files, again, extremely important, and then getting started with InDesign. So as much as I'm going to be able to show you in the live sessions, some of the more nitty-gritty how to use InDesign from a very, I've never opened this program before, will be covered in these videos. So that way I can go over a demo of the assignment. So that way, after you've watched these videos, you can then go back and rewatch the demo of the assignment, and that should help you to kind of tie everything in together. My demos might seem a little bit too advanced if you have not yet watched these videos. So if you are just watching this now and then you get to the point where my demo portion of the video and you're like, whoa, this seems like a whole lot. These videos are going to really fill in those blanks to what I'm doing. And I do want to make one note. Our assignment for week 1 discusses the CRAP 4 Basic Principles of Design, and the video for that is actually located under week 2. So just make sure that you scroll down to watch that video. It's only like 7 minutes, and that'll help to explain that. We kind of get more into that in week 2, and to be honest, for week 1's assignment, I'm really going to be looking at, did you use the program correctly? Did you package your file correctly? Did you make a PDF of your file? Things like that. So don't get, if you're brand new to InDesign, do your best with the design end, but I'm really looking to see that you're mastering the technical aspects of the program. All right, so those announcements I promised. This happened last time I taught this course. When you go to the announcements tab, it says, there's no announcements, check back later. And for some reason, they're starting on page 2. I don't know why they are starting on page 2, but there's actually quite a few announcements. There's an announcement for visiting the tutoring center, joining the new IU Graphic Arts Facebook community if you need some assistance with ProQuest, if you need some assistance with your Adobe CC. Also, last call for the art show. If you had any artwork that you wanted to submit for the art show, the deadline has been extended to May 4th. And then my welcome and the other multi-session schedule for Mod 5. So let me just open up that one, this one, this one, this one. We went over the videos, this one, and this one. So if you need some extra help writing your discussion questions each week, you can go to the Writing Center. It's one of the many resources that Independence University has for its students. You know, if you're having writer's block, you're concerned that your sources are or aren't formatted in APA format, if you need some help with your grammar, you can either make a live appointment or you can do a paper submission. There's two ways. So this tells you exactly how to get in there. You go through the Shark link right over into the Writing Center. And then back to citing those sources in APA format, I've provided a link for you where you can copy and paste in. Most people tend to use URLs. So copy and paste in the URL into this link, and it will make the APA formatted citation for you. And then you just need to copy and paste it to the bottom of your discussion post. And remember, the best way to write up your discussion post is in Microsoft Word or even Google Docs. And it will cite those sources right there for you. And also the reason why is those programs will catch spelling and grammatical errors for you. If you're like me and you need something to be underlined to notice it, that's what it's there for. If you haven't already, please download the Canvas app to your smartphone. This will help you to get those daily checkpoints done each day and keep you up to date on the announcements in the course. I've provided an Apple and an Android link in this app. I run the Canvas app off of both of my iPad and my iPhone. On my iPhone, I run it as my instructor side so I can see my messages from you guys, and on my iPad, I run it for the courses I take here. So I have both. I do that both ways, and it's been really, really helpful to me. There was one time where I forgot to post my discussion question before I left my house, and I was like, oh no, I really wanted to get that posted early in the morning because I had some helpful information for my students. I was able to navigate to the Canvas app on my cell phone, and I was able to go into Dropbox on my cell phone, grab my pre-written discussion question, copy and paste it out of Dropbox, and put it into the discussion post right through the Canvas app. So we have so much technology at our fingertips these days. Make sure that you are using it. That's okay, Jennifer. I was reading what you said. When you cite something in Word, it only gives you the short version and not the long version. I'm not extremely picky on citations. I just want to make sure that you are citing your work, especially, for plagiarism reasons. So that is okay. I'm really looking to make sure that you've cited your references. I don't get super crazy picky on APA format. Just make sure that you don't have a ton of spelling and grammatical errors, and that you're on topic. I'm really looking for us to push our design. I just want to make sure that you're meeting the requirements. And if you do need some extra InDesign help, I've added the Adobe Help link here for InDesign. There's some great tutorials on the Adobe site. There's help, there's chat available. There is a forum discussion board, which I have used in the past, where I'm like, I know you used to be able to do this in an older version. I can't find where it is on the new version. I'll get into the discussion post and talk to people, and they've helped me out. So the Adobe Help website is really a great resource. Even if you don't need it right now, I would definitely bookmark that for in the future. And this video is a quick little video I made a couple of months ago that I always share in any course where you're using InDesign. It's how to change the default settings in InDesign from picas to inches, because if you are like me, you can't visualize things in picas. I don't know why Adobe defaults to that. So I made a quick little video for how to change that setting right at the beginning of InDesign.
Hi everyone, I have a quick little InDesign tip for you. I know that when I am creating things in InDesign, it's really annoying if my rulers do not default to the inches setting. So I want to show you how to set that up. Now, if you have any sort of document open, you are going to need to save it and close out of it because we need to be at the blank welcome screen. Then what you're going to do is go up into InDesign CC, into your preferences, and go down to units and increments. Right over here where it says ruler units, you want to change your horizontal and vertical to both say inches and then press OK. When you create a new document, what it will do is remember those settings for all of your new documents. So you won't have to go in and manually change all of your rulers in each document to be inches. Hope this is helpful.
So even if you change it in InDesign to the document you have open, the problem is it's not going to remember those settings. So you would need to change it for every single document that you open from there on out. But if you have a document closed and you do that change, it will remember it as a setting for the entire program. Again, why? I'm not exactly sure, but that's how to change that. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. And then here are our learning coach hours. DJ Smith is our learning coach this week, and she has hours tonight, and then she's not back until Friday. She emailed me today to let me know that she had a family emergency, but there are other learning coaches in the Student Success Center if you do need extra help, and I will show you how to get in there. Let's take a look. So if you go to either, you can get there through Shark or going through the Student Success Center tab. If you have never been before and you need your login instructions, make sure you are clicking here. And it gives you the site, and it tells you exactly how to set up and get into the Blackboard Collaborative support. So after you do that, then you can click to enter the Student Success Center. And we can take a quick look at their hours. Here we are. So for week 1, there are hours from 12 to 7, Tuesday from 10 to 4 and 5 to 9. 10 to 11 p.m. on Wednesday, 10 to 11 p.m. on Thursday, Friday from 9 to 5, and then from 6 to 11 p.m., and Saturday from 9 to 3 p.m., and then from 4 p.m. to midnight. So some really good hours. The only day that they are closed is Sunday. And if you are looking for my email, you can find me in the About the Instructor tab. This has my email, my phone number, and my phone hours, and then a note about where I'm located, Eastern Standard Time. And I think that that was all that I needed to go over with you on the home page. If you want to take a look at our syllabus, I definitely suggest it. You can get to that through the syllabus tab. And if you are looking for your grades, they are located in the grades tab. So let's take a look at week 1. This week, we're really jumping in with both feet into InDesign. And again, there is that week 1 introduction, so make sure you say hello to everybody. You can see I've already done that. And we do have a discussion for this week. So the background for this discussion, we're going to be talking about InDesign in the field. Graphic design is a very diverse field, and the use of InDesign as a tool within it is just as diverse. As our means of communication changes and diversifies, our software and technology work hard to keep up with current trends and changes, and InDesign is no exception. One of the things that can be most confusing for a new designer, and I ran into this when I was a new designer many moons ago, is figuring out which software you use for what project you are working on. So in the same way, one of the more frustrating things for our vendors is receiving files that were made in the wrong format. So for example, a newsletter layout that was created in Adobe Illustrator, or a logo that was created in Adobe Photoshop. And both of those would be industry standard no-nos. So how do we use InDesign? Specifically, InDesign's purpose is to give a platform to lay out printed or print-like material. It was designed to create a harmonious marriage between text and images. This might include, but is not limited to, brochures, newsletters, ads, business cards, books, and more. InDesign allows us to take the graphics that we've created in Photoshop and Illustrator and then easily combine them with our text and do a layout. So InDesign is a primarily layout program. For this discussion, we're going to look at InDesign and how it's used in the field today. So you can try going to monster.com or indeed.com or the Art Career Project, or really any job listing website or resource that you know of. What I want you to do is use InDesign as a keyword for your search and take note of the different job titles and the different job descriptions that come up. Are any of the listings something that you might be interested in? Why or why not? And if you put that in your immediate area and nothing comes up, try broadening your search to the closest metropolitan area to you. Or if you're using Indeed.com, what you can do, I'll show you real quick, is you can actually put in your location, remote, and that will search for online jobs. So these ones that came up, these are all remote jobs for graphic designers that need InDesign. So that's one way if nothing's coming up in your immediate vicinity where you can find a job posting. So are any of those listings that you found something that you might be interested in? Why or why not? You're going to answer that in your post. You're going to give me the job description, the name of the job, and a little bit about it. Write about one of the positions that you found, and then list the job duties that require InDesign knowledge as a skill. And then I want you to list ideas of how you will become a power InDesign user. So a really professional InDesign user who knows the ins and out of the program. So that way you'll get hired. For example, to become a power InDesign user, I will learn one InDesign shortcut a day because that's going to streamline the way I do things. It's going to make me a faster designer, and that's really key in this field. Discuss why you feel that your methods that you've chosen might be successful. Now, for your citation, you can get some information from articles that you find online that show examples of how InDesign is used in the field today. So this will do a little bit of research on how InDesign is being used, and then relate that back to that job posting that you found and figure out, all right, you know, if InDesign is being used mostly for ad creation, and I found a job for an ad creator, and they want somebody who can, you know, meet deadlines and do this, do that, you know, maybe you might discuss how you would become a power InDesign user by being able to, you know, learn InDesign in a certain way, so that way you know you're always meeting your print deadlines. You know, that's kind of something that you could write about. You know, make sure that your initial post and your reply post are working together with your fellow students to help develop a group understanding of this topic. Challenge each other and build on each other, and always be respectful in the discussion post, but, you know, try and figure this out together. So again, there needs to be 3 posts from you each week. Your first post is your initial post with your APA citation, and the next 2 posts from you are you responding to 2 of your fellow students to their response that they gave and kind of helping them out. And make sure that those follow-up posts are 50 words each, and that you're not putting something generic like, I really like your post and it helped me to learn things. You know, you're not going to get full points for that. Make sure that you're really discussing the topic in each of your posts. So I have started the discussion for you. I can see a couple of people have already put their discussion posts in. That's awesome. I love seeing that on a Monday. All right, now I'm gonna just skip over for a minute going through the assignment and the assessment because I want to go back into my slideshow. So again, this week we're going to learn some basic InDesign tools and terms. You're going to define how InDesign is used in the field and describe 5 scenarios where it would be used. Identify and match 10 basic tools to the description of their use. Identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions. Create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. And then describe the difference between InDesign's rectangle tool and the rectangle frame tool, which I will go over with you. So our learning objectives for this week are utilizing the rectangle, oval, and line tool to create a composition in InDesign. You're going to utilize InDesign's character panel to apply changes to your fonts, font size, kerning, tracking, and leading. You're going to illustrate how to utilize the color palette within InDesign. You're going to prepare your document for print output using the package tool. And then you will show correct image resizing and cropping methods within InDesign. All right, we already went over the discussion in detail, so let's get to know InDesign a little. I'll make this full screen. So when you first open up InDesign with a blank document, you will probably have a screen similar to this. InDesign tends to default to this Essentials view. So I always teach in Essentials view because I want to make sure my screen looks as close as possible to yours. So that way, if you're looking for something, you know, it looks similar. The only difference is I might have different panels open than you might have when you first open the program if you haven't ever been in there. But I will show you in the window menu how to get and find all of those panels. So you can see you have your toolbar that runs along the side here. And if you've taken your Photoshop or your Illustrator classes, the layout's kind of similar. You know, where that toolbar is located, where those other panels are located over here. In Photoshop, it would be your layers panel, your type panel, all of that is located over on this side. So InDesign kind of nests them over to the side as well. And then depending on the tool that you are in, you'll have a different set of tools up here to change some of the different requirements. So when you're on the black arrow tool, which is the item select tool, you'll have these options, you know, to kind of change different things depending on what you have selected. There was nothing selected on the screen, so that's why everything's grayed out. When you are on the type tool, you would have, you know, different types of options that go along with type and text. So let's take a look at some of the tools and their functions, and you'll notice that I have some tools grayed out. The reason why I have them grayed out is that not many people use them. And some of them I've never even bothered to use. They're kind of new, and I think that the InDesign designers were running out of ideas when they came up with some of these tools. And so I just don't use them. I do other things, you know, to kind of make the same thing happen. So the first tool is the black mouse or the item select tool. You'll use this to select and move everything around your screen. But then we also have a white mouse, which is known as the direct select tool. And what we do is when we place things in InDesign, we have to place them within a frame. So we have to draw a frame with the rectangle frame tool or the oval frame tool and then place our image into it. We need to draw a text box with the text tool and then place our text into it. So that white mouse or the white arrow is used to select what's inside of the frame. So think of it like Tupperware containers. If you're using the black arrow tool, you can move the closed Tupperware container around. But if you want to get to the food inside of the Tupperware container, you need to use the white mouse arrow, the white arrow. That's kind of, I use Tupperware containers for analogies in a lot of different Adobe programs. Next, we have the page tool, which allows you to resize one page on a spread, which it is helpful. I've just never had to design something with different sized pages yet. I say yet because I'm sure it'll come up someday. Then you have the gap tool, which is used to adjust the white space in between and around page items. I just kind of do this visually, but some people do like to use that tool. Then you have the content collector tool, which allows you to grab multiple pieces of content and repurpose. Again, I don't ever use it. Next to the tool I use every single time, the type tool. You use that to create a text box and then add that type to your document. Then we have the line tool. Use it to create a line. The pen tool. The pen tool, if you have taken your Illustrator class already, works extremely similar to the pen tool in Illustrator. It lets you draw straight and curved paths. We're really not going to use it in this course. You can if you want to draw some, specific illustrations on your page, you're more than welcome, but don't worry if you haven't really mastered the pen tool. That's one of those tools that you really need to work at. Then the pencil tool lets you draw with your mouse as though it were a pencil. Next, this can get a little bit confusing. We have the rectangle frame tool and the rectangle tool. So if you want to place an image, what you need to use is your rectangle frame tool. Draw the square or the circle or whatever shape you need, and then you're going to place your picture into that frame. The regular old rectangle tool is used to make simple rectangles that you would then fill with color or fill with gradients, things like that. And then if you see these little arrows, the little white arrows in the bottom right-hand corner, those show that there are other tools related to the main tool, but they're hidden. So you would click on that and it will pop open the rest of the toolbar for you to see the rest of those tools. Next, we have the scissor tool, which splits a path, so a path that you might have drawn with your pen tool. Then we have the free transform tool, which provides a way to perform any transformation with just one tool, so resizing, warping, things like that. Then we have the gradient tool, which again will add a gradient to this rectangle box when you drew it. And then this tool is new, the gradient feather tool, or at least it's new in the last couple of versions. It's probably been around for 5 years, but to me it feels like it's new. It lets you soften the gradient in the direction in which you drag, which seems kind of confusing when you mention it that way, but it can make something start to gradiate to a transparency, which when we wanted to have an effect like that, we used to have to open up the image in Photoshop, do the transparency there, and then save it as a PSD file and bring it back into InDesign. So it was always a couple more steps. So this tool lets you do that right in InDesign, which is really cool. And I'll do a little demo of it tonight. Then you have a note tool to create notes. So if you're trying to remember something like, oh, I need to add a picture in here, you can use the note tool. That's really helpful. Then we have the eyedropper tool, which is this one right here. This is to pick a color. So say that you have an image and you kind of wanted to, to eyedrop on that image to select a color from it. That's what you would use that for. The same way that you would use it in Photoshop. And then there's the color theme eyedropper, which is the eyedropper that shows the 3 boxes. That allows you to pick multiple colors from one image. And then we have the hand tool, which is also the space bar, as long as you are not in a text box. If you are in a text box, it'll just keep adding spaces. But if you click out of the text box and you press the space bar, it turns into the hand tool. And you can kind of drag around the screen. So if you're really zoomed in, you can kind of move yourself over and get to where you need to go way easier than trying to scroll up with your mouse or scroll up with the arrow. And then the magnifying glass is a zoom tool, which allows you to zoom in or out of the page. And then the same thing on this page. The arrows show other tools that are related to the main tool that may be hidden. Then way at the bottom of the palette, you have the fill and stroke. So this is also similar to InDesign, to Illustrator, and at least Photoshop has a fill. I don't believe Photoshop has a stroke. So you can control the color of your shape and the outline color of your shape. One thing I want to note is that I notice in InDesign, and I believe I've changed it somewhere in my default settings, but the rectangle tools can tend to default to having a black arrow around them. So you just want to make yourself aware that your design might not always call for a black border, sorry, not arrow, but a black border around it. So you'll probably want to turn that off if that happens. And then down here, you can turn the grid on and off, and then the same thing can be accomplished by pressing the W key. Again, just not in a text box, or you'll just type a W. So here are some of the windows that you can open that I personally tend to use a lot. First is the CC libraries. So Adobe CC, which is a web program, it's called Adobe Color, will allow you to create and save color schemes that will then show up in all of your Adobe programs. So if you want to put together a color scheme for yourself, I would definitely use Adobe Color, and I'll navigate over to that now just so I can show you. Now, in order for them to show up, you need to make sure that you are logged in as yourself. And what I mean by that is double check the email on your login if your face shows up, because it needs to match the login for your Creative Cloud. Before there was a Creative Cloud, I had an Adobe account, and it's through a different email. And I accidentally logged into Adobe Color, or I was logged into Adobe Color on that email, but not the same email for my Creative Suite. So I'm making all of these themes, and I could not figure out why they were not showing up in my programs. And then finally, it was because I had the wrong login. So always make sure that you are logged in correctly. So you can make, custom something with different shades, compounds, complementary colors, triadic color schemes, monochromatic color schemes, analogous color schemes, and then just save them. And you can make a new Creative Cloud folder, name it DES 105, hit save, and those will show up in your program, which is pretty awesome. Because before, we used to just have to make colors in Adobe Color, download the color scheme as a library file, go into our program and import it. It was like 10 steps, so nobody did it. So Adobe realized nobody was using it, so they fixed it. So that's this panel. And then you have your swatches, which are different than your CC libraries. So you can import your CC library into your swatches, because that is how you're going to colorize things in InDesign. So you kind of have to do two steps of opening up the CC libraries and then adding those to your swatches. Again, I feel like pretty soon Adobe's going to get everything on the same page, and it will just be there, and there won't be all these steps. But until then, I'll show you how to do that. We have the stroke panel, which if you've drawn a line, if you've put a border on something, if you've drawn something with the pen tool, you can adjust the stroke type, the weight, if you wanted to have an arrow or something at the beginning of it, if it's a double line, if you want there to be a gap color in between the main color of the outline. So there's lots of different options that you can do. Then we have the gradient panel. So if you've added a gradient to something, you can change the gradient up, different colors, different types of gradients, where it's located, if it's a reverse, if it should be going at an angle. You can use the sliders, tons of options you can do there. Next, we have the text box for the type tool. So Command or Control T will open up the character panel, and that's where you can also change your font. You have some extra options here, and then this is what the panel will look like at the top of your screen when you are using the text tool. So the type tool is, you know, when it's selected, the options are displayed again at the top of the screen, and then to make a text box, you have to select that type tool, the T in the menu, and then click and drag where you want the text box to start, and then you'll drag out to make it the size you want it to be. And if you don't get it to be the right size right off the bat, you can adjust. That's the good thing. And then you can just, you know, select inside if you're on the type tool. If you are on the black arrow tool and you double click on a text box, it'll put you inside the text box so you can start typing. And again, here are all of those different tools. Tons and tons and tons of tools. And again, I will share my slides with you. All right. So we have an assessment this week, which is a quiz, and it's based on this week's live session, the readings, and the videos. There's a total of 11 questions, and you have unlimited time to take the quiz. So the good thing is you have unlimited time. If you get stumped and you're not 100% sure, navigate to a new browser window and look up the question and see if you can find it. You know, be careful to read the questions. Also, to discourage cheating, some questions will seem like questions other students might have had, but the values might have changed or what is being asked for has changed. Be sure you know what the question is asking for and the values to use. So just basically it means read it over well. Try to look up the answer from the reading, from the videos, refer back to my slides if you need some extra help. You know, use all of the resources available to you so you get a 100% on that quiz. So what it will go over are identifying and matching 10 basic tools to the description of their use, identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions, describe the difference between InDesign's rectangle tool and the rectangle frame tool, how to create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. Now, we also have an assignment for this week. So for this week's assignment, you're going to create some cover designs for a menu. This is a really fun assignment, number one, but number two, it's also a real world experience assignment. This is an assignment that you will see out there in the field, where you're going to have a client, they're going to want something redesigned, and they're going to want to see a couple of different options. So the assignments that you are given in the Independence University Graphic Arts program are really, really awesome, because I have been in the field for 20 years, and I can tell you that I have done this in the field, what each of these assignments are. They were, you know, jobs that I've done as freelance work or jobs that I've done at my workplace. So you will definitely see things like this out in the field. So all we are going to be worrying about in week 1 is creating the cover design. And for week 2, you're going to do the rest of the menu by maintaining the style that you've introduced in your cover. In the field of graphic arts, we frequently give a client more than one option to choose from. So this week, you will be designing 2 different versions of the same menu cover. And I've given you a link right here to subtle patterns, which I've used to create pattern backgrounds, and I can show you how to do that, but I also want to give you another link too. Whoops. And this one is for stock art, and it will be pexels.com. I use pexels.com all the time. They have really good stock art. Make that link the color that can be read. There we go. So these are two links that will help you. And the first one, I'll go with the first one. Open that up. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. You don't have to do this, but people in the past have asked me how to do it, so I always try to show it in week one. So first things first, you need to choose a restaurant. So there are 3 choices for restaurants in week one. Your first choice is Maxwell's, which is a fine steak and seafood restaurant. And you can read over the prompt. You know, their entrees range from $52 to $82. So this is really fine dining. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you choose Maxwell's. And here are the different assets that you can download. So we have a steak image, we have shrimp, we have this cake, and then we have the picture of the chef. We also have an example of their original menu that they've asked us to redesign. This is their original menu. So what we're going to do is we're going to design 2 different versions of a menu cover for them to show them 2 different options that they could go with. Your next restaurant that you can choose from is Starlight Bistro, something great by the sea. So shoes are optional. They're situated right on the beach. So clearly not fine dining, you know, a way more casual vibe on the beach. They serve healthy food. It's eclectic, and everything seems to be for under $20. So here are their images that you can download. And the logos are provided as well in each of the assets. So here's their logo, and this is their original menu that they have. So you would be redesigning this for them. And again, you would do 2 different covers in week one. And then the third restaurant that you can choose from is Walk and Roll, which is Chinese and sushi. So this is, you know, pretty standard fare for Chinese or sushi restaurants. They have Orlando's best Asian cuisine. Prices range from $8.95 to $15.95. I believe they also have takeout. So again, way more casual vibe than the first one. Here's their images and their original menu that you will be redesigning. So we're going to have 2 pages. It's going to be 8.5 by 11, your standard letter size. We're going to set up our margins for 0.375 and our bleed for 0.25, and we're going to turn off spreads. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. And then again, your initial default setting for InDesign might be in picas, so go back and watch that video and change that to inches before you get started. You're going to use the logo and the tagline from your chosen restaurant to create your menu cover layouts. You can add colored or patterned backgrounds utilizing the photos provided, plus add lines or shapes to your design. It can be as simple or as complex as you think the restaurant warrants. And then you will go to page 2 and create a second version of that cover. And you might consider trying a different background or experiment with some different opacities or colors or type combinations. So remember that whatever you start here will carry over into week 2's assignment. If you copy the layout from the example, your creativity score will be low because they want to redesign. They don't want you to design their exact menu that they already have. If you need to package the file when you are finished, and be sure to include all of the images, fonts, and a high-res PDF. I will show you how to do that. You're going to zip the package folder and name it, and then turn in the zip file. And then you have a rubric. So is it on time? Is it the proper file format? 20 points. Is it to spec? Are there 2 different layouts? Are the images sized proportionally and the image frames proportionally used? Is your typography proportional and legible? Are the frames properly positioned on the layouts? Are the text and image frames properly used? And then overall creativity. Does the layout reflect an understanding of basic design principles? And those are those CRAP principles. That's that set of videos from week 2 that I pointed out, and there will be an announcement posted about that as well to remind you about those videos. All right. So any questions before I get into our demo? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end this recording and I'm going to start up a new recording. So those of you who are here tonight, if you want to go back and rewatch the demo portion, you'll be able to get right to it before you do your assignment. And for those of you who are watching at home, please proceed to the next video.